Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are going to do another unboxing today. This one's going to be the Mcfarlane DC Multiverse animated Green Lantern John Stewart. This one I've been considering adding to my collection for a while. They do have another John Stewart coming out in the Multiverse line that's a little more realistic. It's not from the animated series. However, this one I really like the construct accessories that come with it. I think it's going to look great for a display loose. So I went ahead and caved and went ahead and grabbed it. I'm obviously a massive Green Lantern fan. I've got tons of Green Lantern stuff in my collection. So it was definitely a no-brainer to add even more Green Lantern stuff to the collection into our Green Lantern shelf. Even though this one, I'm not sure if it'll fit the Lantern shelf. It's actually getting quite big. And that's something I may cover in a future video, doing a more deep dive on individual shelves inside my showcases back there, to kind of show you what all is in them. I've always been a big fan of John Stewart as a Green Lantern. Hal Jordan's my favorite, but John Stewart was always second place for me. He was definitely a great fill-in, and when it came to the Justice League animated series, I always really dug the way the character was portrayed. I thought they did a very good job with it. And obviously, for an animated character, I think the design and the look of this figure is very smooth. The colors pop. Not a lot of detail there that I really have any solid complaints about. Maybe, possibly, if the green branched over onto the shoulders, but I also understand that when you move the arms, that can cause a little bit of color differentiation and could look a little weird. So I do get that. So let's go ahead and get this opened up. Really excited about adding this one to the shelf and getting it out of the box. It looks great in box. It really stands out, and it's one of those figures that, especially if you are a Green Lantern fan, you walk by the shelf, you're going to see it, and it's going to stand out. Those green colors, they're so vibrant and bright, and they just pop and they catch your eye. Almost like, if you were to see a package of slime or something like that on a shelf, you're definitely going to want to stop and check it out. It just catches your eye. Like if you look over here, right there on that shelf, there is a light-up Koopa Kochi from Bob's Burgers that I got. It's not even a Funko. It's something I got from a mystery box, and I just thought it was cool. So went ahead and got out of the shelf. Look at that same, kind of green color, and I really like that. So back of the box, we got a picture of John Stewart from the Justice League Unlimited animated series. Very cool. And of course, there's other figures down at the bottom, like the Batman from the Batman animated series and the Superman as well. I'll go ahead and pull the insert here out. If I can get to it. This one actually seems to be in there a little more than the other ones. The other one just slid right out. There we go. So again, like with the Deathstroke, we've got our stand. We've also got our card. Now, the way I like to display my cards is that because of how big the figures are, I more often will either stand the card next to the figure, or I will kind of put it up against the front of the figure, kind of at their feet. But that really depends on the detail of the character's figure, how well it stands, etc. Because unfortunately on some of these, it may work great on the stand, but the moment that you put something up against it, the weight distribution goes off and it wants to fall over. And in a DTOV, the last thing you want is anything falling over. So here we are. Here's our little character card. Pretty cool. Love that design. Always thought the animation for John Stewart and the Justice League animated series was great. As I said, huge fan of Green Lantern in general. So adding this one did not take much thought. And I guess apparently, because of the way it's posed in the package, I didn't realize that there actually is green on the shoulders. So there we go. I must have overlooked that. Oh, okay. So if you look here, it's actually got almost a double joint in the shoulder here. So it folds down and it folds down again. So that's pretty cool. Didn't really notice that. That's probably why I didn't notice the green on the shoulders right away, was because that second joint and the arms were probably back far enough. Because if you do that, I mean, it almost looks like it's just black right across the top. So I get that. So that's a pretty cool feature. I am a little concerned with how well it's going to stand with these Brock Lesnar chicken legs. John Stewart was not told that it's not an upper body business, that being a superhero, you definitely want to do leg day. He did not do it. But much like a lot of the other Mcfarlane Multiverse figures, this one definitely has the additional articulation in the foot. That little, like, toe region there. This one's not wanting to bend too much. There we go. So it does have that, which is probably, in a weird way, one of my favorite bits of articulation from the Mcfarlane figures, because I really do believe it gives you a lot more options for posability. So up close, got a great look at him. I mean, real great face detail on it. Love the beard. Paint job is immaculate. The green eyes really pops and stands out. The logo here on his chest is actually raised, which is very cool. That way you can actually rub your finger across it and feel it. I do love the jointed torso. That's very cool. Also more options for posability. You've got your ring on the hand, which obviously I could not foresee them making a Green Lantern figure without a ring on the hand. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I definitely would not see them trying to. So you probably put them up. You could probably even do a flying pose with them. Just rings out, flying in. So one of those flying bases might come in handy for it. May eventually be a future investment, because you can get those. NECA makes the flying bases. They are pretty similar to the ones that Mcfarlane packages with the characters like the Red Sun Superman. So if you were to get those, it wouldn't be too much of a difference to really you know, cause it to stand out too much from your display in terms of it being kind of weird to look at. So let's go ahead and get his accessories out. And, oh, well, I was going to try to stand him up right here. You know, hey, we're live, pal. But chicken legs is not wanting to cooperate, so I guess that's already one slight nitpick about it. But at the same time, if it's standing without the stand is an issue, is the worst problem I have with this figure, I think that I'm probably doing pretty okay for myself. Another great thing about these DC Multiverse figures, and I think this is highly overlooked, is that really, unless it's like one that's just short packaged or real hard to get a hold because it's just popular, like the Red Sun Superman or the Death Metal Batman, retail on these is very reasonable. Most Walmarts, you can find these for roughly around $15 to $16. Now, some of them, because they'll basically classify them with the collectibles from electronics, they'll actually price them at $20 there. Some Walmarts will be nice and they'll price match it to what's on the label in the toy aisle for the DC 7-inch figures, but some of them are just like, nah, different UPC, not our fault, and then they won't do it. So the price point on these is great, considering the Marvel Legends figures are pretty much 20 to 25 across the board. DC Multiverse stuff, you will run into that problem a little bit when it comes to Target, as well as GameStop. Target, usually their flat-out rate is $20, unless it's like a Build-A-Figure character, then it's $25. Some Targets have had the regular ones for $25, but it's very rare, so that's not really too much of a concern. And GameStop is pretty much $25 straight for normal ones, and then about $30 to $35 for Build-A-Figure ones. So they do have a better price point than the Marvel Legends. And to me, honestly, I think they deserve as much love, if not more love, than Marvel Legends figures, just because they just, I mean, the detail on these things, it just really stands out. Mcfarlane, to me, I feel like he's really knocked it out of the park with these. And I think that these figures deserve a lot more credit than they probably get. So let's go ahead and slap some of these accessories on. So the first one we got is going to be, it looks like a headset with a microphone on it. I'm not sure how well it's going to fit on his head. Also want to be careful not to break it. Doesn't look like there's any kind of pivot to it. So we're going to go ahead and just see if we can slide it on the back of the head here. Very tight fit. That kind of makes you worry a little bit. You're like, oh no, I'm going to break it. And I mean, I don't think you're going to break it necessarily. But okay, so we've got the headset on. I mean, you would think they would have made it like goggles or, I don't know, some kind of nonsense like that. Yeah, again, I'm rambling. My apologies. So, oh, okay. No, actually, I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be a guide lens for like a sniper shot, because, you know, John Stewart was military. And so, you know, marksmanship is kind of his expertise, his forte. So that would make sense Oh, and it just shot right off. So I guess we're just going to leave that on the floor over there so I'm not too far off camera. And then, of course, the gun. He's got trigger hand right here. So you just slide that bad boy right onto the arm. And there is a handle. Right. Is it right there? Man, it's so weird. They don't put like a instruction sheet with this packaging, so you're not really sure if it's supposed to go in there or if his whole, you know, I think it may just be like that. Just the whole arm fits inside of it. That may be it. Who knows? Cool little construct gun though. I really dig it. I need to probably look it up and actually see how it goes on there since the packaging gives no clues or hints. So I guess that might be a second negative on this one is just the accessories seem a little weird. They're hard plastic, they're not rubber, so there's not a lot of flexibility in how you're going to put them on the character. But I really do think this one probably just slides onto the arm like that. I mean, there's a little bit of a, you know, a slot here if you need to put a hand through there. But I really don't think that's going to be the way to do it. But yeah, cool looking construct, cool looking figure. Let's see if we can get him on the stand and see how he looks on it. The stands, the pegs on them are very tight, which is good. You don't have to worry about them possibly just slipping out because of weight distribution issues. And so there we go. There's the Jon Stewart on a stand. I'm holding it, and he's actually holding pretty well with my shaky hand. So if he's standing fairly well with a shaky hand, then he's probably going to do pretty okay on a balanced shelf that isn't moving or shaking. So I will call that a win, despite the two negatives, and even those negatives are probably overlooked. And actually, one was not even negative because the green shoulders are there. I was just too blind to see them through the front of the packaging. So that's going to wrap it up for the Green Lantern Jon Stewart DC Multiverse figure. Again, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow my Instagram at Collecting Raj for photos of stuff that I may not have videos of on through my YouTube. And of course, if you want to see me do a deep dive on a figure or an unboxing in particular, feel free to message me. You can also just leave a comment and mention something below, and maybe we can make something happen. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.